Recent committee meeting of the Spruce Creek Support Services, the idea of portable restrooms that could be located at the big tree came up. As you all know, the tree has always been the focal point of so many activities over the years. We have our annual bonfire, toy parade, spot landing contest, and Friday night gatherings. The children use this area for movie nights and other activities. Our pilots do missing man flyovers and participate in many other functions that take place at the tree. Some flying activities require pilots to position their planes up to 2 hours before they actually fly. Currently, there are no public restrooms in this area. Pilots and other residents either go to their homes if they have the time, or infringe on local business establishments and commercial hangars. Also, we are an active community of walkers, bikers, and runners. We were aware that this topic had been brought up before, but that, to our knowledge, had not been acted on. Support Services was able to collect over 100 signatures in just one weekend favoring this idea. We are asking the board to consider this request. Knowing there may be other costs and questions, we collected 3 estimates, which include the drop-off and pickup along with a weekly cleaning of the portable restroom. Gadawa Septic, which is owned by Spruce Creek residents, came in with the lowest bid of $75 plus tax a month, so it's like $80 a month for 2. Support Services felt that this may be the way to go with hopes of a more permanent structure to come. Support Services would also be willing to help defray the cost. We feel this is a much-needed facility for our pilots and residents. Respectfully submitted by our Spruce Creek Support Services. Thank you.
Thank you, Candy.
Question?
Candy, you indicate...
Let us do it first.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, before you go to
I'm sorry, I might have missed it, but you quoted, is it $159.98 per unit for 28 days? Is that correct?
No, Gadawa Septic, a couple of them added what it would be, to have a handicap accessible. So Gadawa Septic says 75 plus tax, which comes to 79 and change. That should be in.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
And that's for 1 unit, per portable, is what this says.
You know, I should have the answer to that. I thought it was for the 2, but it probably is only for the 1.
It says $79.88 per portable,
yes.
Portable restroom.
Yes, it's per 1.
How would they be secured to keep from being blown over or tipped over?
Well, just as the contractors have that same problem, there probably is no answer to that. There's been talk of the possibility, I don't know if there's any cameras down by the tree, but there's been talk of the possibility of putting some cameras up. I can't say that will happen for sure, but it's been mentioned.
I applaud the idea personally, but I would like to see a permanent structure. The club has one on the golf course, and I don't know how you do it, but it's always clean when I've been in there. And any of the places in the county where I play golf, they're real bathrooms. I know Sun and Fun and Oshkosh both, the most prized improvement they made was real bathrooms. And I think this community deserves a real one. I wouldn't mind if you want to go with I wouldn't want to make this a permanent thing, having a porta potty. I'd like to have a real facility and a nice one. And if you have to hire these guys to clean it or whatever it takes, but I think we're a step above the porta potty group. I like the idea. I mean, we need it. I mean, you get up in the morning, you go walking, what happens? Yeah. And so I would like to see this happen, but I'd personally like to see a permanent facility, a clean one, a nice one, and But
I think, as we said in our proposal, that, this could be a stepping stone too, depending on if that's where it ends up as a permanent. I think everybody would like it to be permanent. I don't
they
think
do
any.
blow over. Diane and I were doing Wings and Wheels one day, and we called it off when they both went over. So you don't want to be in them either.
That's true.
Any other comments here?
Paul,
Yes, Jack?
there is a middle ground here at Sun and Fun. The VIP section is they had a different type of porta potty. It was on a trailer,
Right.
and it was first class. I don't know about the step up to it with a ring for handicap, but you could not tell you were not in a permanent private restroom. It was a little bigger. It's on a movable trailer, and they trailer it in. It's jacked and stand. It's very sturdy. You can't blow over. I'm sure the price is different, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than funding a permanent place. And you could consider having it on weekends and having it not there during the week. They could put it in on Friday morning and pick it up on.
I have used those restrooms before, and you're absolutely right. They're very, very nice. We are a community that probably from Wednesday to Friday, there's an awful lot of flying goes on. And to just put something down only on the weekends, I don't think is going to serve the whole community.
There's a lot of walking goes on every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of shakes things loose,
Yeah, you can certainly look at that, the price of that. Maybe it's going to be more than the $79, but a heck of a lot cheaper than.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jack. And Candy, what I will ask, if I can indulge you, is to maybe have you look into that aspect of it. Bruce, you've been standing up for a while. You have a comment? Please come up.
Yes, so just like to speak in support of Candy's suggestion, and I think it should be a permanent one. I have Piper hanger number 185, and so if you're at the tree looking at the Piper hangers, it's the second one, and I often sit out there and watch the flybys and other events that go on. Between the Piper hangers and the tree, there is a group of bushes and another large tree, and every night, on a Friday night, there will be close to 20 people go in those bushes. And you can't see them if you're at the tree because they come around behind, right in front of where I am, and go into there. And last weekend, a young girl came out screaming because she was in, doing some business, and there are a lot of ants in those mounds of things. And she was being bitten by the fire ants, and, screaming and crying, and her mother came over and whatnot. But there are young people going in there, and there are old people going in there to use it as a washroom. So I'm all in support of us. We expect more and more activities at the tree. I think a permanent structure is a long-term plan. This is certainly a good short-term plan.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Paul, I didn't get the one of these, I don't know if any of you even looked at any of these projects, I'll call them projects, that I had for beautification. But one of them is for cleaning of that area so that it isn't accessible to do your business in. And that was one of the things on my list of our committee list.
I did see that. Thank you, Judy. I don't think the compelling reason to not use the bush means that the bush either exists there or it doesn't. I don't think we want anybody having to use outdoor facilities at the big tree under any circumstances.
If they could get out.
Yes, John.
How do we prevent these restrooms from becoming restrooms for all the contractors in the neighborhood? And use that one. Now, my question was, how do we prevent these restrooms from becoming restrooms for all the contractors that come through this neighborhood, which is a tremendous amount of people that come through here that are not going to be cleaning it. They're going to be messing them up. And do we lock them? Do we have codes for the doors? What do we do?
We're not at the tree, that's the thing.
Well, it don't take long for the word to get out.
Well, wait. I mean, what's happening right now. They go to Kenny's. Well, no, they don't. I don't see contractors hanging around a tree, and I really don't. And the only missing element here for me on the porta potty thing is if Ottawa, if they've got something nicer than a porta potty. I mean, those are.
There's one at the fuel pumps right now. Let's not be, let's
Yeah.
not throw rocks here. There is one at the fuel pumps currently.
Yeah, there is, and a lot of people, that's the next stop. And
I will say that having been in that hangar every single day, somebody here is using that unit, whether they're not buying gas. These are contractors. These are folks that just go out and walk. These are kids. Everybody uses that porta potty, or they ask to use our restroom. So
I would go with the idea right now, but I would definitely like to be pointing toward a permanent structure, and also a nicer one than, Ottawa, he's in the business, he'd know if there's something better.
I'd like to propose this. I'll get an answer on my question.
Well, I mean,
I don't know that that's my position to give you the answer to that. My understanding is now a lot of the contractors use what's on the golf course. They'll go there. And the bushes, yeah. That's something, if we get to that stage, I don't know that I have an answer for that right now.
we don't know that it's going to be a problem. I don't see it, I don't believe it will be. But,
See, I believe it would be.
well, I know, but, so, yeah.
I think regardless of what happens here, I don't think we want landscapers or contractors or residents or children or anybody else going in the weeds. We just don't need that. So, all of that being said, I think we have two efforts here that need to be made. And that is, one, to have Candy or any of her group look into Jack's idea about a little higher end unit. I also would like Diane's group to look at sewer, water, and electric, whether or not sewer, water, and electric is even an option out there without tapping into a sub-association. This has to be common ground, and it has to be POA property and POA utility. So at least that way we'll get some clarity on cost and get some clarity on what options we actually have before we keep going down this road any further than we need to go.
I know there's water out there. I don't know about the rest.
There's a well.
There's a well out there, yes. Mm-hmm.
Nancy, you had your hand up.
Can't hear.
The reason that we introduced the porta potty versus a permanent structure is to try and work out the kinks of actually having it, whether it would actually work having facilities out by the tree that people can use. You may get complaints from the guys that own the hangars there that they don't want it close to them. It may not be in view of where you can see if there's going to be vandalism, whether the contractors are using it or they're not using it. So I think that's why we were thinking porta potty. Of course, we don't want it to be a permanent structure out there for the duration of Spruce Creek. But it's a good gateway to seeing whether a permanent structure is possible. And in the meantime, we can look into what the cost would be, how to make it lovely around it through the beautification committee. Or, and the other thing, someone mentioned the trailer aspect of it, and I looked into used trailer porta potties that you can drag in there, which I think is also an eyesore, but they're in excess of $20,000 for a used one. So and that's just for 2 little bathrooms. That doesn't have the washroom and stuff like that.
I think we're going to find that the higher end we go, it's going to just get exponentially higher in cost. And in order to justify that to this association, we're going to need to show clear and concise need above and beyond the anecdotal stuff that we hear now about bushes and that sort of thing. It's not lost on me that John's comments made about the contractors. I know for a fact that will be an issue. Contractors are using the one next to the fuel pump every single day. Now, they appreciate the fact that it's there, and maybe that's compelling enough to have them be a little respectful of it. In the times that I've actually had the opportunity to look in that porta potty, or having to move it when the wind took it around the front of the hangar over to the other side, it actually was quite clean. I will say this, when the truck shows up every Friday morning, it's like being on a houseboat after about a 2-week stint. It's a little powerful.
It's running.
Yes?
Pays for that maintenance? Is it Yellington, SCPOA?
It's Yelmington. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because if you have a fuel facility at an airport, part of the FBO responsibility is to have a bathroom near the, or an open facility near the thing, so rather than leave the hangar open, he has a porta potty. And I'd like to make a proposal that we do something. And, and we could table this all over East Jesus, and I don't think that's going to improve anything. My proposal is we get 2, and I would like to say for blowdown purposes, handicapped porta potties, because they're huge and they're not going to blow over, and put 2 of them out there on a trial basis and see what happens.
Candy, that Paul Creech is the one who can facilitate that?
I'd like to make that a motion, Paul.
Anyone want a second? Mike has the second. Yes, Jack?
We also have to consider the aesthetics of it, the color, the size, the shape. I mean, don't you want to have
Green.
a little bit more information on the types available before we vote on just sticking 2 porta potties up?
No.
They're all the same. They're all the same, and if you go to Oshkosh, there's always 3 or 4 porta potties and 1 handicap one, and they're twice the size of a standard porta potty.
Candy, is there a contract on this? A contract term on renting these, or is this just month to
It's
month?
month to, isn't it month to month?
I can tell you, yes, there is, because for the bonfire, it's a contract to get them.
But as is,
It can be canceled at any time.
Yeah, it would be like a
cancel
month to
anytime.
month thing, I would think.
Is it cheaper as it goes out further?
No. We had to do this at our airport, that's why I know about the fueling issue. And it was the same deal, we had to have something, and we ended up with a porta potty, because that's all, the FBO at the time did not want to leave the hangar unlocked to make this happen, so we ended up, as the airport committee, going to a porta potty situation. So,
I think too.
If I remember right, it probably is close to, getting 1 handicap is close to the same price as 2 regular.
Well, then-
150 for the handicap.
Yeah,
is it, you got that?
it's twice as much. Is that
We-
Goodall?
Handicap.
For what period of time?
Month to month.
Month to
As long as
month.
we want
For
it.
1 month.
For 1 month.
For as long as we want it. And it'll sit here.
And what color are they?
You get
I don't want those blue things out
The other ones
there.
are great.
They're either gray or blue, or gray or green.
we have excuse me, folks, we have a motion for 2 handicap, seconded by Mike. The discussion is, do we want to, well, we've had a lot of discussion around this thing. Now we're talking about 1 or 1 and 1, so that we have 1 ADA and 1 non.
And just to answer Jack's question on the color, before you cut all those trees down, when we did Wings and Wheels, we used to hide those things behind all that brush. I don't know how Bruce feels about it. It's pretty close to his hangar, but you can hide them back there.
As long as they're not blue. If you're going to get large ones, Paul, I would ask the board to consider 2 handicaps so everybody gets the same size.
Well, with the tax, that's $166.94 per portable handicap restroom a
Right.
month.
John, you had a comment? Okay.
That's perfect. So that's 330 bucks.
Right.
Handicap.
Yeah,
That's
340.
75 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's consumables and that sort of thing in there, so we're looking at about $400 a month. Okay.
And that includes the pump out?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Wait.
and cleaning.
So wait,
Yep.
I'd vote for it as long as it's not polluted.
That's your point, Jack.
I'll get a spray can for you.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of this porta potty, ADA approved, whatever. All in favor?
On a month-by-month basis.
On a month-by-month basis. All in favor?
Let's try it.
Any opposed? No opposed. I will make one statement in addition to this, is that I will ask Randy in his rounds to monitor the condition and to report back if we seriously have a problem here.
We'll get you a golden plunger.
Randy ain't no bathroom on.
Gonna get his resignation tomorrow.
We got a box of those blue gloves for you, buddy.
Having completed unfinished business and new business, I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Seconded.
Everybody in approval with adjourning the meeting? Thank you all very much for coming. Nice work, guys.